From Life at Home in the 21st Century, Guided Close Read. Although archaeologists study what is left behind by past cultures, the study cited in this text is of families in present-day Los Angeles, California. CRT stands for cathode ray tube, a kind of vacuum tube used in electronic devices. CRTs were in heavy, bulky monitors used for TV sets and computers. This informational text uses a cause and effect structure to organize the author's ideas about how television has changed American life. Reread lines 1 through 8. What three major areas are affected by broadcast communication? Pause while you think. Economic decisions, political outcomes, and moral reasoning. Archaeologists study the roles that objects play in people's lives. In this study of how families use TV sets, the author points out that a TV plays a significant role in daily social life. Reread the sentence that begins with the words, "The set is used by the collective," in lines 24 through 28. Restate the author's main idea that TV is an agentive participant in your own words. The TV set is more than an object made by people. It changes how people live with one another. As we follow the evidence, we find the paragraph running from lines 32 through 49 telling about living spaces that include TV sets. Reread lines 32 through 38. Identify text evidence that describes what photographs of living rooms reveal. Pause while you think. The photos repeatedly reveal spaces organized around televisions. What point is the author making with this evidence? Pause while you think. When people gather in their living room, they don't look at one another when talking. Their attention is on the TV set. Graphic aids are diagrams, graphs, maps, and other visual tools that are printed, handwritten, or drawn in a text. Line graphs, such as the one on page 223, can indicate trends. The horizontal axis of the graph shows the increasing number of TV sets, left to right, and the vertical axis shows the increasing number or frequency of households, bottom to top. Reread the information in the line graph on page 223. Explain the patterns the line graph reveals about the 32 households studied. Pause while you think. Every household had at least one TV. Only 2 households had just one TV set. At the other extreme, 2 households had 6 or 7 TV sets. The researchers gathered data about the number of TV sets per household, the locations of those sets, and the TV-related activities of young children. Reread lines 50 through 65. Identify text evidence that explains what societal phenomenon has resulted in thousands of studies of the effects of TV on children. Pause while you think. More than 40% of families place a TV in at least one child's bedroom, and American children learn how to operate and engage with the TV at a very young age. As a result, TV has an impact on children's lives. The studies are designed to find out more about that impact. The researchers took notes on the activities of individual family members and also videotaped families when they were studying. They then examined the videos to code the behaviors they saw. They were looking for evidence of the impacts of television viewing, which have been debated. Reread lines 66 through 98. Cite examples of what has been debated and explain what the researchers discovered to support both sides of the debate. Pause while you think. The debate asks whether TV viewing leads to reduced social interaction or whether families use TV time as a platform for togetherness. Researchers found that on weekdays, an average daily total of just 46 minutes is spent on attentive, focused TV viewing, which is less than predicted. They also found that when family members watch together, it's usually a social experience. However, they also found that kids view solo more than adults, and that children in families that have TVs in one or more bedroom spaces are more likely to watch TV alone. When archaeologists study artifacts, they look for evidence about how the objects got to a particular place and how and why people used them. Reread lines 115 through 119. Identify one of the reasons that consumers get rid of older TV sets. Pause while you think. People may replace older TVs because of the desire for newer forms of visual media technologies. Notice the sentence in lines 141 and 142. Frequency seriation thus determines the relative age of each layer. Reread lines 130 through 142. Include the word because in an explanation of what the sentence in lines 141 and 142 means. Pause while you think. Because styles of artifacts change over time, archaeologists look at layers of buried trash to see which layers have shared styles of artifacts. They can use changing styles to tell which layers are older or younger than others. You can make judgments based on evidence and reasoning, or draw conclusions as you read informational text like this. Text evidence about archaeologists digging in landfills today and in the future can help you draw conclusions about evidence of TV use. Reread lines 143 through 150. Draw a conclusion about TV owners' preferences based on evidence in garbage layers forming today. Pause while you think. People preferred color CRT TV sets through the 1980s, but people today prefer flat-screen TVs. The evidence that supports this is that today's landfills will have few black and white sets and significantly more color CRT sets. The increasing number of flat screens will show that their popularity has just taken off. The author helps readers understand how to interpret this graph of battleship curves, so named because of the step-like shapes or curves which resemble the head-on profiles of battleships. The text that accompanies a graph, the title and caption, and the label for each axis enable readers to understand the information shown. Study the graph on page 227 and reread lines 151 through 172. Cite data in the text or graph to answer each of the following questions. What does the width of a horizontal bar represent? Pause while you think. Its width represents a percentage of a total count of TVs purchased for a particular year. The text says that in 1990, 46% were color CRT models less than 19 inches in size. Where is that data on the graph? Pause while you think. In the second battleship, between 4 and 5 squares make up the width of the bar for 1990. In the period shown, what was the most popular and longest lasting TV set purchased? Pause while you think. Color CRT TV sets that were equal to or greater than 19 inches were popular from the 1980s into the mid-2000s. Why is the battleship for rear projection sets so thin? Pause while you think. Fewer were sold than other kinds of TV sets. In the last paragraph of this excerpt, the author sums up the patterns shown in the battleship curve. Determine what is significant about the adoption rate of flat panel sets and cite evidence from the battleship graph that supports your conclusion. Pause while you think. The rate is unprecedented in the domain of television technology. In the graph, between 1999 and 2008, less than a 10-year period, flat screens in landfills soared from less than 1% to nearly 100%, 97%. That means flat panel sets replaced earlier models faster than replacements had ever occurred before.